This is Jill Pack with the Seasons of Joy podcast. This is episode number 107, entitled Disconnecting Dances. Are you a woman of faith who is struggling to navigate your current season of life? Do you feel like life is just happening to you instead of for you? My name is Jill Pack, and I'm a certified faith-based life coach and a member of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. I want you to know that no matter your season or your circumstance, it is possible to create a more joyful life, and I would love to show you how. Are you ready? Let's go. Hello, my friends. Welcome to the podcast. Thank you so much for being here. Spring is in full swing here. The blossoms are coming on the trees and the bushes, and things are starting to green up. The other day, my forsythia bushes turned bright yellow, and my grass is green and needs to be mowed. I love it. I love this time of year. It really is a visual reminder to me that we are creators, that we can become the creators of a beautiful life for ourselves. We may have seasons where we have pulled in and not felt much growth in our life. However, spring reminds me that there are always second chances, new beginnings, and that it's never too late to start over. We just need to take the step towards desired change, and it begins by gaining clarity. So if you're struggling with the unique challenges that come with being in the mid-season of life, I would love to be your coach. Whether it's in the relationship with yourself, with your spouse, with your adult child, with your coworker, or your best friend, I invite you to schedule a clarity call with me to learn more about how you can create desired change in your life. So just visit my website, www.seasons-coaching.com, and click on the Work With Me tab at the top of the page. You can find the link in my show notes as well. Now on to this week's episode. I've been working on my advanced certification in relationship coaching, and it has been fun and fascinating. As part of my certification, I recently finished reading a book by Dr. Sue Johnson called Hold Me Tight. Dr. Johnson is a clinical psychologist and the developer of emotionally focused couple therapy, also known as EFT. Now, the point of EFT is not about learning how to communicate or argue better, or even about analyzing our past. But it's about recognizing and admitting that we are each emotionally attached to our partners, much like a child is to a parent, for nurturing, soothing, and protection. We can fortify the emotional connection that we have with our partner by recognizing and altering the pivotal moments that nurture mature, loving relationships, which include being open, in tune, and responsive to one another. There's a quote in the book by Erica Jong, and she says this, quote, "Love is everything it's cracked up to be. It really is worth fighting for, being brave for, risking everything for. And the trouble is, if you don't risk anything, your risk is even greater," unquote. My husband and I just celebrated our 33rd wedding anniversary. The love we have really has been worth fighting for. It hasn't always been easy, but it's been so worth it. Love drives us to attach and provides a safe haven from the storms of life. In her book, Dr. Johnson says, quote, "This drive to emotionally attach, to find someone to whom we can turn and say, 'Hold me tight,' is wired into our genes and our bodies. It is as basic to life, health, and happiness as the drives for food, shelter, or sex. We need emotional attachments with a few irreplaceable others to be physically and mentally healthy, to survive," unquote. Think about that for a minute. Whether we're married or not, we need emotional attachments in our lives with a few irreplaceable others to be physically and mentally healthy in order to survive. Marriage gives us the perfect place to create those emotional attachments and can provide the perfect opportunity to grow in the most intimate of ways. In 1951, John Bowlby, a British psychologist, and his assistant put together a famous experiment that is called the strange situation. This experiment sparked revolutionary studies and applications of attachment theory. This experiment was done with children and their mothers to study disconnection and reconnection, which inevitably built Bowlby's attachment theory, which is this, that all children have the need for safety and ongoing physical and emotional closeness. Now, Bowlby argued that the necessity for attachment is as critical in adults or crucial in adults as it is in children. This perspective challenges the prevailing societal belief that true maturity equates being independent and self-sufficient, and that being vulnerable is a sign of weakness. However, Bowlby highlighted that seeking emotional support from others is not only a sign, but a source of strength. Dr. Johnson concludes from the comprehensive research done in this area that the essence of healthy and positive romantic relationships is based on the secure bond between partners and is a significant source of strength for each person in those relationships. When we feel generally secure, we are better able to seek support for ourselves and provide it for others. Experiencing closeness feels comfortable to us, and we feel confident in our dependence on our loved ones. When we feel safe and connected with our partners, we can roll with the hurts that naturally come along the way in a relationship. We are also less likely to be aggressive and pushy when we feel anger towards our partner. We're better able to give our partner the benefit of the doubt and assume the best of them. We are more empowered when we have a secure connection with our partner because we understand and like ourselves more. This allows us to be comfortable with being uncertain with the meaning or intentions of our partner. This allows us to be more curious and open, which can foster greater connection in our relationship. As we are better able to reach out to our partner because we feel secure, the more we can step into our unique individuality and independence. We are better able to balance our closeness with others and our own autonomy. There are countless studies that have been done that prove that when we have positive connections with other people in our lives, we are protected from stress and we are better able to cope with the challenges and trauma in our lives. As partners, it has been shown that we actually co-regulate our body processes and our emotional lives. I love this quote by Dr. Johnson. She says, quote, "Love is not the icing on the cake of life. It's a basic primary need, like oxygen or water. Once we understand and accept this, we can more easily get to the heart of relationship problems," unquote. When we are feeling emotionally disconnected in our relationships, it's because we don't feel emotionally safe with each other. Underneath all of the drama and the distress, we are asking each other these 3 questions. Are you there for me? Do I matter to you? And will you come when I call? These questions highlight the fear we feel when we don't feel secure in our relationships. Now, we all experience some fear when we have disagreements or arguments with our partners. Of course we do. However, when we have a secure bond, this is just a moment in time. We realize that there really is no real threat here, and the fear is quickly tamped down. But for those of us that are in a more emotionally disconnected place in our relationships, this fear can be really overwhelming. We can either become more demanding and clinging in order to gain reassurance and comfort and validation from our partner, or we withdraw and detach in an effort to protect and soothe ourselves. But underneath it all, what we really are saying is, notice me, pay attention to me, be with me, I need you, or I'm not going to let you hurt me. I'm not going to be emotional about this, and I'm going to stay in control. But either of these strategies, they might work in the beginning, but inevitably they create distance and disconnection in our relationships. The greater the distance, the more distressed and insecure we become in our relationships. This can create defensiveness and blame while also causing us to assume the worst about the other person in our relationship and even about our relationship. This is what it looks like to be out of tune in our relationships. We are distracted by our own pain and our own agendas that we don't know how to communicate what we need or how much we really do care. We may not even know what our needs are, so this makes it difficult to even articulate it to our partner. We may reach out from a place of anger or frustration because we don't feel confident in our relationship. We may demand instead of request. We may fight for power or the need to be right instead of comforting embraces. We may find ourselves focusing on actions that will prove our connection, such as the amount of sex we have, which only gives a limited expression of what we need, which is actually to be emotionally close. When our bids for affection or attention come through these distorted messages, it makes it hard for our partners to respond to us. And the longer we're disconnected in our relationships, the more negative our interactions become. It becomes a cycle, right? A negative spiral. And these interactions become the dances of our relationships and can quickly cause us to fall out of step with each other. We can get so caught up in the what of an argument that eventually it doesn't even matter at all. It's not about the what, right? This is because arguing about the what doesn't solve the problem, and it usually fills the relationship with resentment, caution, and distance. Each partner will view their disagreements through a negative filter or a lens that is clouded. And this clouded lens causes us to assume the worst of the other person and soon becomes a pattern dance that we move into as a couple without even realizing it. However, when we can pause and slow things down, we can address the fundamental need for connection and the fear of losing it. We can begin to discover the toxic patterns or dances in our relationships. I've talked about this before on the podcast, but these toxic dances, these dance steps that we take come from fear. And this fear is normal because of our human brain. This is part of our brain, the toddler brain, that is trying to keep us from danger in order to keep us alive. And when we don't feel secure in our relationships, this part of our brain kicks in and is trying to protect us from harm. This sense of danger can be real or even just perceived. It doesn't matter to the brain. It all feels the same. Now, there are key moments that we can begin to become aware of that can help us navigate this sense of danger in our relationships, whether real or perceived. And one of the first moments is when we notice an emotion come up for us that doesn't feel good or comfortable, right? We can remind ourselves in that moment of a time when our partner was there for us and we're able to soothe ourselves and the moment moves by. But what happens if we can't soothe ourselves in that moment? How do we react? Do we attack or withdraw? Either one of these is trying to deal with our fear. Again, that attacking or retreating, right, pushes our partner away. This then reinforces our fear of disconnection and creates distance in our relationship. Another key moment happens immediately after the threat of danger has passed. And as partners, we have a chance or a choice to reconnect after a disagreement. We can choose to reach out to our partner and share how we are feeling and express ourselves in a way that invites connection. Or we can choose to attack and make demands. Another key moment is when we're able to tune into our attachment emotions, those emotions that come up for us because we're feeling that disconnection, right? And we can reach out for connection or reassurance from our loved one, and they respond. We can receive this and feel comforted. We then move closer and we share more. Or we move away, we guard ourselves against our emotions, not wanting to feel vulnerable, or we may even attack the other person to see if they really care or not. Another key moment comes after we go back to our regular life, right? Time has passed. We may either feel confident in the safe haven of our relationship that we are able to move on from that moment, or we may hold on to our insecurities while trying to control or manipulate our partner so that they will respond in a certain way so that we can feel better, or we may even just minimize our need for them at all. We can all probably think of moments when we've reacted in these certain ways in our relationships. But the truth is, each one of us does have attachment needs and fears. It's a natural aspect of the human condition, right? Having these needs and fears isn't a fault. It's simply how we're built. Humans are designed to seek connection. And when we sense danger in those connections, amid conflict, whether it's actual or imagined, we tend to fall back into familiar patterns of interaction or dances with our partner during disagreements. The issue isn't how many disagreements that we have in our relationships. It's the diminishing levels of warmth and emotional engagement. By focusing on increasing our responsive and intimate exchanges within our relationships, we initiate a rhythm that fosters connection and brings balance to our relationship and to both partners. But the first step to creating greater connection in our relationships is to notice the unintentional pattern dance we are doing. Dr. Johnson calls these dances demon dialogues. I call them dances of disconnection. These are dance patterns that occur when we don't feel that safe connection with our partner. And Dr. Johnson refers to them as the following. The first one is find the bad guy. The second is protest polka. And the third is freeze and flee. So first, find the bad guy dance is where both partners are blaming each other. The need to find the person at fault doesn't get the relationship anywhere, right? The partners keep each other at arm's length. They distance themselves from one another, which doesn't allow for re-engagement or the creation of a safe haven. This dance is usually the one that comes at the beginning, right? And once we are here for a while, we move into what is called the protest polka, which is the most common of the three dances of disconnection. In the protest polka dance, one partner becomes critical and aggressive, and the other partner becomes defensive and distant. Something that I find fascinating is something that psychologist John Gottman has found in his work with couples. He has found that couples who get stuck in this pattern in the first few years of marriage have more than an 80% chance of divorcing within 4 or 5 years. The protest polka is basically a protest against the loss of the sense of a secure attachment in a relationship, which is something we all need. One partner is demanding and the other person is withdrawing. This dance is about trying to get a response that connects, reassures, and satisfies the need for security. The third dance is the freeze and flee. This is where both partners withdraw. After a couple has been doing the protest polka for a while and things aren't changing, they get tired of the dance and they just give up. They put their emotions and their needs into what Dr. Johnson calls a deep freeze, right? And this creates numbness and distance, right? Sometimes we think we just don't want to feel anything, but by doing that, we take ourselves off the dance floor. And each partner is distancing themselves in an effort to escape their pain and despair. And again, in dance terms, suddenly no one is on the dance floor. Both partners are sitting out. And as Dr. Johnson says, this is the most dangerous dance of all. We can all get caught in any one of these negative relationship dances at one time or another. Sometimes they can be for a short time. Other times they can become a patterned response that we fall into. Over time, it can become a toxic pattern that is repeated over and over again. And soon the dance begins just from the slightest misstep or negativity from the other partner. If we stay in this dance too long, we undermine our ability to repair and reconnect with our partner. So one of the first steps of strengthening our relationships with our partner is to identify the negative cycles or dances we do and recognize that they trap both partners. Discovering what dances we are currently doing will bring an awareness that opens us up to new possibilities. And we can begin to step out of those patterns by creating a new tune to dance to. So what does this look like? It looks like slowing down the music and noticing the moves we are making. It's noticing the moves we go to when we don't feel safely connected to our partner. We do these things in an effort to cope with uncomfortable feelings, and we're trying to change our dance. We do these things in hope that our partner will do something different or that we can feel better. And we often begin telling ourselves in that moment a story about our relationship that supports the dance we are doing. And this story only creates greater distance in our relationship. But when we can notice that this is what is happening, we can begin to see what we are creating in our relationship because of the dance moves we're doing. We begin to see that we are making it harder to safely connect and how we are influencing our partner's dance moves. Slowing things down in our brains allows us to lengthen our lens through which we are viewing our relationship. From this perspective, we can see that every time we do our pattern moves, our partner does the same. We both become trapped in pain and isolation. Dr. Johnson suggests that when we begin to notice the dance that we are doing, we can share this with our partner in an honest and kind way, opening up a conversation from a place of authenticity and vulnerability, not one of anger or blame. She also invites couples to name their dance so we can warn each other when we notice our pattern dance beginning. Slowing down allows us to change the music of our relationship and helps us to begin to step out of the dance of disconnection. From this place, we can work on learning the dance steps of emotionally intimate responsiveness. Throughout the years, whenever my husband seemed distracted during our conversation, I have struggled to feel a secure bond with him in those moments. My reaction has been to retreat and give him the silent treatment. This behavior has been my dance moves for a long time as a way of managing the way I feel and an attempt to shift the dance in some way. And again, all in a hope that I won't continue to feel hurt. Yet the more I've repeated this pattern, the more frustrated and resentful I feel. I find myself telling a story about how he doesn't care about what I have to say or that I'm not important to him. These dance moves make it harder for me to feel safely connected to him. And then he seems to either push against my silence or he mirrors it. This pattern dance can keep us trapped in suffering and loneliness. This familiar rhythm of dance is something we still fall back into sometimes, yet we are getting better at recognizing this dance. In fact, just a few weeks ago, I noticed my husband and I beginning to move into this well-rehearsed dance again. It still took a couple of days to be honest with myself about my own dance moves. However, once I am honest with myself, this allows me to begin to shift my moves and change the tune we are dancing to. After 33 years of marriage, we aren't perfect at this yet, but we are both better at noticing when we're slipping into our pattern dance. we have gotten to a place where we feel secure in our relationship. So when this dance does begin, we are better able to change the tune sooner rather than later. So by learning how to change the tune and choosing to take new steps has provided us with the opportunity to create greater connection in our relationship. The act of repair and reconnection has actually strengthened our relationship. So just because you may find yourself in a dance of disconnection does not mean that all hope is lost. Identifying your relationship dance could be the very thing that leads you to build a relationship of emotional connection. So my invitation to you is to begin discovering, what dance are you and your partner currently doing? Is it find the bad guy? Do you find yourself stuck in blaming each other or needing to find the person who is more at fault? Are you keeping each other at arm's length? Or is it the protest polka? Is one partner critical and aggressive and the other defensive and distant? Is one partner demanding and the other withdrawing? Or is it the freeze or flee? Are both partners withdrawing? Are both of you putting your emotions and needs into a deep freeze? Do you feel numb and distant? Are you both sitting out of the dance of your relationship? Again, underneath all of the drama and distress of these dances of disconnection, we are all asking each other the same questions. Are you there for me? Do I matter to you? Will you come when I call? We are all seeking that emotional connection with our partner. We just don't know how to change the dance. But by identifying your relationship dance, by being honest with yourself and your partner, you can begin to choose your dance steps on purpose and discover what else is possible in your relationship. You can step out of those disconnecting patterns and begin creating a new tune to dance to. And I would love to show you how. If you want to learn more about my couples coaching offer, I invite you to schedule a clarity call with me to see if this is a right fit for you. That's all I have for you today. Remember, you are amazing, and have a joyful week. Thank you for tuning in to the Seasons of Joy podcast. I hope you enjoyed today's episode. And if you liked what you heard, don't forget to subscribe, leave a review, and share with your friends and family. If you want to learn more about me or how to work with me, just visit my website, www.seasons-coaching.com, and have a joyful week.